Hello, hello. Welcome to the Color Whisperer Show, where we talk about all things home and healing. And today we're going to talk about our body, healing this home. Because if we don't have this home and keeping this healthy, we got nothing, right? It's really important for our environment to be healthy, but we got to keep our body healthy too. And today is a very auspicious day. It's 7/7. Energetically, there's a lot of energy out there, and it's a great day to manifest whatever it is you want. So, with that being said, we're going to talk to a wonderful healer. Her name is Tasha, and she is amazing. She's been doing this for a very, very long time, and we're going to find out exactly what she knows. And I'm going to find out why I got blurry. So, let's bring Tasha on. Hi, Tasha.
Hello, how are you today?
I am great. I'm going to let you give a little introduction about yourself. I'm going to see if I can find a rag. Oh, there I got unblurry. Is that weird?
I know I saw the blur, and you know what it was? You're just showing how we just need to lift the veil.
There we go. There we go.
That's perfect. I think it's absolutely perfect.
We just have to lift the veil. It's all about energy, right? Even electronics.
Exactly.
Electronics. It's about energy. It's crazy
It really
making.
is. Have you ever noticed when you're going through a lot of, I would say hell, but I guess I did say it. But either way, you're going through a lot of like hard times, and you go to put your computer on and nothing works right. It's crazy. Or your phone, it'll just drop calls and you're like, "Oh, it's a phone company." But you have to look at what are you going through? What are you emitting? I'm
Yes.
Tasha Kay, and I've been in healing arts for 30 years. And that's just official. I was one of those children that was super shy. So I stayed within myself. Yeah, I'm an introvert too, but I was so shy. I couldn't talk to people. And I believe that was now a superpower because it developed my gifts that I didn't even know I was developing. I learned how to keenly feel everyone around me because I wasn't going to talk to them. And I was the youngest. I have one sister. My cousin lived there, and a family of really awesome, amazing, talkative people. And there I was, little meek person. And my family has nothing to do with what I know. We could go into beliefs of childhood and stuff like that. But honestly, my family has nothing to do with who I was in that way. I believe that that was the purpose of my soul that I had to go through to grow through. And what I bring to the world is everything I've had to go or grow through. And if you don't grow through it, you're going to go through it again. So,
Right?
yeah, you gotta get good at the growth.
I know during COVID, I lived by myself, and especially those first few months when nobody was going anywhere. And I feel other people too. And I was feeling like, I don't even know. It felt like I was feeling the whole world's fear. How many people I was really feeling, I don't know. But it felt like I was feeling the whole world's fear. And I was like, I had to go through a lot of growth in that just so that I could say, wait, how much of this is mine? How much of this is my responsibility to transmute? And, I still got to live my life too. It's like, I'm happy to be healer. I'm happy to help the world. I'm happy to, but like, it's also kind of got to be done on my terms. And the beginning there were days when like, I just got to, lay in my bed and transmute this stuff and meditate. And it was like 3 or 4 hours a day. And I'm like, I mean, not that we had so many other things to do, but but
Right.
at the same time, it's like, no, wait a second, like there's still, you know, I didn't, this was not part of my plan for the day. And I don't mind doing this, but it's kind of got to be on my terms of, okay, so we kind of, I learned, I grew, and I said, okay, I will dedicate this much time to doing this, and then I get the rest of my day. But we got to have an off sign, like when we're feeling everybody, you got to be able to turn it off.
Oh yeah. And it's interesting because my first experience, not first experience, how do I word this? My first big experience of having someone else that I could feel their energy so much, where it was a darkness and a blackness. And it was crazy because it was the man I was in love with. He became my first husband. All right. Yes, there were signs. I should have gone. I get that. However, as a healer, and you're budding and you're blooming, and like you said, you have to have an off switch. I didn't have an off switch at that point. At that point, I'm like, oh, well, everything's law of attraction, because I don't see law of attraction as, all right, so I was practicing this back in the 90s. However, I learned very quickly that the law of attraction is a description of what happens. That's it. It's how you vibe. So if I vibed and I drew that person, then I was supposed to be with this person. And I guess I put a whole bunch of the human way of how to be with, oh, my screen went off, the human way of how to be with everyone into that. And spiritual and personal are different. And it connects at our heart. But just because we're given something doesn't mean we're supposed to follow it through to what our personal self would think would be the end. And that's where I had to really learn. So my experience of not having an off switch was that. That was literally like I had to save my life several times during the week. Not at the beginning. It started slow, but he had been developing these multiple personalities. He wasn't diagnosed yet. So I was keeping a journal of everything. I'm like, oh, I'm going to help him. I'm going to save the entire world, and no one will have to go through this. I don't know who I thought I was in that moment. I mean, sure, I'm a healer, but it doesn't mean I'm meant to even go down that path that deep. And apparently I wasn't, because even after him, then it was like, okay, I'm done with that. I get it. I could have died. And I saw myself dying in his hands. And as I get the vision, so visions come to me. And when I'm thinking, I see in movies also. So I had to get really good at deciphering what my gift was. And what your gift is what it grows and it changes. But your initial gift is the most dominant way that you read energy. My most dominant way was, it was like boing, and it would be there. And I was like, okay. And some things I could stop and some things I couldn't. And I would get really angry if I could see something and I couldn't stop it from happening. I didn't realize at that time the gift is the sight, but I have choice how to handle it and how to maneuver it. And that's where we have to co-create with the universe, not go, oh, I got it. All right, you don't need to be in my way anymore, because now I have to fix it because I'm the healer. It doesn't work that way. But you don't know until you learn.
And here's the really tough thing about being a healer that's really hard to deal with and to face. Not everybody wants to be healed.
Oh, that was so hard for me to face. I was like, all right, you're right. They get comfort in their discomfort. And I say they because I was once addicted to chaos. I didn't know it until I was like, I got to the point where everything was smooth. And I was like, I got bored. But I realized I could fill my life with other things. I don't have to have chaos. I can have art. I can create something beautiful right now instead of trying to navigate and heal everybody and everything. So yes, you're right on that. Oh my gosh. It's huge.
A lot of people are addicted to chaos. I mean, I grew up in a house, there's always stuff going on. And then, it's like, then I get to be on my own. And it's just like, wait, like you're so used to that chaos that when it's not there, it's like, who am I? I mean, it's not just what am I supposed to do now? It's who am I? Because you don't know, because you're so busy reacting all the time that you don't even know, like, well, wait a second. Like, you're not having to react and you're actually able to go inside and go, oh, this is who I really am. And a lot of people are afraid to see that because it's scary.
It's vulnerable. It's
vulnerable.
Scary. It's chilly sometimes. It's not warm and cozy necessarily. That is huge. So that's one of the staples of what I bring to people, because I had to really thoroughly learn a reaction. If somebody says hi, you say hi. right?
Mhm.
So here's the stimulus, the response, stimulus, response, stimulus, response. Well, in that space, you can't even see in between there. Well, that's a reaction. When there's no space of actual living, breathing energy, it's just a reaction. So I'm all about breath work, and you don't even have to do breath work per se, although I do promote it, but you don't have to. You can just breathe, take a breath. If somebody says something and you go, now, it might be strange, but in that moment that you're breathing, people are so quick to fast reactions that
Mhm.
they may look directly at you and then wait for you to respond, which is actually a beautiful moment because then they're fully attentive and not just going, "Oh yeah, how are you? Did you know my mom fell?" And whatever it was that they're talking about. They look all around, not many people look in the eye, but if you take a moment and you breathe, oops, you breathe. And now this is where you have your choice. You have absolute complete choice in this amazing sacred silence.
Yes.
And it's pretty amazing because and it gets to a point where sometimes if you don't do that, this has happened to me. It's probably happened to you without even like delving into it like this. But if you don't do that, you get to the point where you can hear yourself talking almost from above and being like, stop, stop, don't say what you're about to. Oh, you said it. It's like, okay, you have to be more accountable to yourself.
Yeah.
And straight,
Boundaries.
that's hard.
Boundaries. And it's with little stuff. So I have a friend, I'll use the word loosely, but anyway, um, he doesn't have air conditioning. He's lived in his house for a long time. It's LA. I mean, it's hot. It's July. It's hot. Okay. And he's like, oh my God, it's so hot. It's so hot. It's so hot. He can afford air conditioning. I don't know why he doesn't have air conditioning, but I got these little fans that I found online and I'm like, okay, I'm going to try them, see if I can keep away from the $400 electric bill in the summer. And
Right.
I was enjoying them. I'm like, hey, this is kind of cool. I like this. And he's like, oh, you have an extra one. I want to come. Will you sell it to me? I need it today. I need it today. And I'm like, and this is as a designer too. I'm like, whoa, you know, this is not my responsibility to fix.
Right.
And because it would have meant me driving for half an hour one way, 45 minutes one way, back and forth. And I'm like, this is not my emergency. A, he can go to the store. There's a store close to him. He can go buy it. B, like he hasn't had air conditioning for 30 years. It gets hot every summer. Like, you know,
Yes.
but you have to really look at it as like, is this mine to fix? And this one was just so clear. Like, this is not my emergency. And I mean, I have to do this with design too. I had a coach one time. She said, there's no such thing as a design emergency. And it's like, I mean, unless like there's a fire or a flood, like that's, you're calling the contractor, you're not calling me. Right.
Right.
And I mean, yes, I've had, calls. I'm like, oh my God, I need to deal with this now. But it's more the clients just like all up in arms, and you're calming down the client more than it's a situation of. So as healers and as coaches, we want to help people, but we have to also be really clear. Like, wait a second, this is not just because it's their emergency does not mean it's our emergency.
Right. And some emergencies are going to be repeated and repeated. So
Right.
he does emergencies like some people do relationships, right?
Right.
And I had a friend, it's interesting. Sometimes I think I have friends, but I really have people that want to use my knowledge. And I think they're friends, but if I don't give what they want, all of a sudden they're not there. And I'm like, okay, so I loosely use that word. That's why I laughed when you said that, because I'm like, oh my gosh. Because I say I have a ton of acquaintances, but there are some good friends I have. However, friend is really a deep word.
Intimate. It's intimate.
It
I mean, I would call this person a friend, but we're not like,
Right.
I mean, like if, there's a person you can call at 3:00 in the morning.
Right.
That's a friend.
Yeah.
The
Like
person
on
you
your
can
hand,
call,
the 5 people that are the most important and close
right?
to you, those are the
That's
ones.
a friend. That
Yeah,
person that you know you can call and say, "Hey, I'm halfway to Vegas. Will you come get me? You know, I'm stuck. Will you
right.
come get me?" That's like,
That's a friend. Yeah. I did that. One of my friends, she had something happen with her husband, and she called me. She lives 7 hours away, up in the Panhandle, and it was interesting because when she called me just to share because she was scared, and I go, "I'll be right there." I live 7 hours away. I know, and she's like, "What?" I go, "I'll be right there. I'll just cancel my appointments." At that time, I did a lot of massages, and I'm like, you know what? I own my own business. I can do anything I want.
yeah.
So I canceled all my appointments and I basically rearranged, got my daughter with, I don't remember if it was with my mom or with her dad, but either way, she was taken care of. And I was like, okay. And I drove. And she's like, I can't believe she was, I have a friend down the road that didn't even come over. And I was like, hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
Now, she's a 30-year friend, or whatever it was. I met her in the 90s. And when her and I first met, though, what's interesting is we didn't like each other. When I met her, she thought I was loopy and I thought she was kind of bitchy. But what was funny was everywhere we would go, we started the job at the same time. So we would always meet each other there and we just kept talking and we got beneath the surface. And beneath the surface is where everything happens. It happens in healing. And if we keep living on the surface like that, we're never going to get rid of what's really in there.
It's true.
It's so amazing.
How quickly do we make judge? Now, so this is really interesting. So first of all, when you meet somebody you've never met before, and there's two things that there's kind of part of the brain starts making judgments about somebody. What
Yes.
are their clothes? What is their hair? Are they old? Are they young? Are they like, you're starting to make judgments. I mean, people all the time make judgments about me, like what kind of politics I have, or what kind of this, or what, or they may know one fact about you, and then all of a sudden they've written a whole character. But here's another really interesting thing that happens, and that is we also pick up on each other energetically. So I used to be part of this group. Um, I that did wardrobing, and we would do these classes, and we would have somebody stand like, tell me, read their energy. Tell us what they're like. And because this was a supportive environment, I mean, our brain kind of goes into like all these cliches and stereotypes and but when you listen with your heart and somebody says, okay, so tell me about that person, it's amazing how right on you can be. So if you're reading somebody with your heart, you can actually get a lot of information very quickly about who they are. And if you don't look at the head and go, oh, well, she's got curly hair, she's got straight hair, or she's tall, or she's short, she's fat, she's skinny, she must be this, she must be that, da, 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 da. But if we listen with our heart, we can really see who that other person is amazingly quickly.
Oh, it's a beautiful moment, actually.
It is.
Um, our hearts are tethered to our soul. And sometimes we're led into people that really rub us the wrong way because we knew them from before. And before whatever you may think before is. But in my self-belief, which I don't want to push on anybody, I believe that we come with a purpose, and I believe that life is everlasting. I believe that as a spirit, there's this energy that, all right, here's what's the really weird picture, and maybe you'll probably understand, but it's almost like we're a fold in the universe. So when our body's no longer there, we're like, I mean, the world closes up, but the energy is still there. So then we go up and we kind of combine, we let go part of us, but we keep part of us, and then we come back down. And I know I can't prove that, but I feel it so strongly.
My mama died about 10 years ago, and I still feel her. I still talk to her. I still, when my dad passed, he came like that following week, and he was talking, and I'm like, so I have, like, and when there are times I still am like, Mama, I need to talk to you, and she's there. I can feel her. And I talk to her.
Oh
I
yeah.
saw, I saw a really cool movie last night. It's called Past Lives.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Oh, you'll love it. So I
I
won't spoil it for you, but one of the key tenets in it, and I'm going to try to get the word right. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But the a Korean, it's a thing in Korean. It's called Inyuan or Inyun, and basically what it means is fate and how you touch, how you react, that you know somebody. So basically what they're saying is that if you rub up against somebody in the street, that means maybe you had some inuan or whatever it is, that you had at some time in the past life together. And so when you marry somebody, it's 8,000 inuan or 8,000.
Wow.
Yeah. And so the more Inuan we have with somebody, the closer relationship. And that's why when you just like click with somebody, you just like, I mean, we've all had that. You went to a networking meeting or you went to a party and all of a sudden there's somebody there you've never met and you're like fast friends immediately.
Yeah.
And it's because it's not your first time. I did have a friend a few years ago, and it was really wild. My part of it was after my miscarriage, and so my senses were really high and intense, and so I could read things a lot better. But I was doing some energy work on him, and it was really amazing because I saw 3 or 4 lifetimes that we'd had together.
Ooh, that's awesome.
It was.
Awesome.
And when we first met, we met at a networking party, and it was just like we got into this deep conversation like that.
I love that. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Anyway, that's why we connect with people. It's like people go, "Oh, it's the stars. It's are you the same sign?" Da, da, da. No, we actually, our souls recognize each other.
Well, if you think about it, like when we were talking about it's not our assignment, it's not our job, but we have to decipher stuff. And then you talk about the souls recognizing each other. If you go, so as above, so below. So down here, we're a person, but our soul extends out here and it goes up in this vortex. And up here, we are all one. So technically, we are all part of the fabric of each other. And some of us have more threads to each other than others.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's crazy. Even my husband and I, all right, obviously, I'm not with the person I described. I'm in a good relationship. Okay. So my husband and I, when we met, oh my gosh. Okay. He's my third husband. I think it's really funny though, because I guess I just really believed in love or something. And when you look at things astrologically, which I don't know much about, but I will share this one thing. I found out that my nodes, again, this isn't my forte, but my nodes come down to working things out in relationships. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's all I need to know, because I kept going, why do I keep getting in relationships? I'm amazing alone. I have more time to spend on healing and stuff like that. But my husband and I, when we met, it's in a small town. Everyone knew him and his wife, right? Not everyone, the whole group I was around knew these two. Didn't know them. The whole group I was around knew my second husband, the dad. So anyway, we lived on the same street. Didn't know. Down the street from each other. All right. Literally like right here and right here. There was a few different times they left each other. We left each other. Every time we were with this group, and it's a small town, I never met them ever. There was a time where I was in a bar listening to music, okay? And my friend goes, oh, look, that's the guy somebody set me up with. And I'm like, why do I care? I know that sounds strange, but I was like, so there's a cute little fireman next to me. I'm just like, hi, fine. I go, fine, I'll turn around. I go like this. Now, as I turn around, he's walking by. we missed each other. And I turned back and I go, where? I don't see anybody. She goes, he walked by when you turned around. I go, then I'm not meant to meet that person. It ends up being my husband now. But as we started putting everything together, like, oh, yeah, I was there. I was listening to that band. I actually know, oh, you know them? Oh, da, da, da. And we start putting everything together. And we're like, oh my gosh, there are so many chance meetings, like where we're, our kids are both in the same grade and in Montessori, or at least they were at that point. But every day that Anna was there, she wasn't there. Every day she was there, Anna wasn't there. And it was the same year. So, I mean, it was like the strangest thing. So I believe in fate to a point. I believe fate, once we become a personality, fate mixes with our power of choice too. And I do believe that the universe lines things up when it's appropriate for us. And it wasn't ever appropriate for us to meet before. And because when we met, we were dynamically attracted to each other. I'm sure that just would have been confusing at the time. Now, with healing, and you're talking about this is all about healing the body. What we are dynamically attracted to and what I dynamically hurts us can be the flip of the same thing. So if my life is about so many different working out relationships, that means I've been hurt so many times in relationships and I'm meant to get through it. I don't necessarily have to stay forever, but that is what I have to heal. And then let's say I hadn't healed at all. I used to go hit the brick wall, pick up all the pieces, examine them so deeply because that's my job. I'm a healer. I have to know, I have to be fully healed before I come to somebody. And I've learned that's not true. All I have to do is be one step ahead of the person that needs my help. Everybody can give life, love, support to anybody. There's a group of, did I tell you this the other day? There's a group of, I didn't have a job at one time. I was sitting in a park and I noticed a woman and I wanted to talk to her so bad, but I didn't want to scare her away. She's just a homeless woman. I didn't want to run over and go, hi. But she had shoes that were made of ropes. And I'm like, that's so interesting. And I ended up smiling a few times, getting close to her. So we start this conversation. And then like all of a sudden it's a bunch of people that are homeless and me. And we're just all sitting and having this neat conversation. And I said, they're like, somebody goes, so what do you do? I said, well, I'm a writer, but I'm really doing nothing right now. I'm trying to not be in restaurants. And they started all throwing ideas at me. Now, I just thought this was so cool because I thought, first of all, they're not anywhere where they want to be. And they had some, they're like, the paper's right down there. Just walk in, apply. And I was just like, wow. And it was to me, such a heart opening because no matter what we go through, we still have the ability to help others. I just thought that was really cool.
That's really special.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I'm super found more so this year than any other is in St. Augustine. So I lead something, I call it Chi Flow, but I'm changing the name. So I'm not hooked on that name, but it's called Chi Flow. And it combines breathwork, Qigong, and sometimes affirmative statements, but you have to do them in more of an alpha state than a beta state. So it's not just saying an affirmation. It's like getting yourself to the point where you're at that relaxed state and then speaking it. Now, when you combine it with breath work, you can use elements and the parts of the body. And I do 9 breath method, which I've learned as a Qigong instructor. I took Supreme Science and Jeff Primack actually taught this 9 breath method. That is fabulous. I usually take things and change it, but this is so deep and amazing. I don't change it. I do it exactly how he's taught. And what's interesting was there's a person in the class. I teach twice a month, and there's a person in the class who's super happy. You ask him anything wrong, there's nothing he can think of. He's totally happy. We go through and do fear, resentments, anything to do with the heart. We do worry, we do anger, and you breathe it and you do it with sound bowls. And it's a really cool combination. And so I have people lead, and then I'm led to say whatever it is that people need released, right? All of a sudden, he was the first one to speak at the end. He goes, oh my God, I didn't think I had any sadness in me. He goes, I just got rid of so much sadness and I don't even know what it is. I said, you don't need to know what it is. That's the thing. We don't need to know what we're getting rid of. We just need to wash it free. We need to cleanse our bodies. And sometimes you can take a water every night. If you just take, let's say, that much water, don't where you're going to wake up all night and say, you know what, this is going to clear me of everything. Or if there's a certain problem, you can say, honest, no problem, but this is going to clear me of everything I do not need. And you don't drink all of it. You just drink part of it and you put it there. And then when you wake up, you drink the rest of it. Like, you absolutely have total faith that it's cleared. And it may still look the same, but it doesn't matter. You already know in energy you cleared it because everything happens in energy first. So you can symbolically make it up. You can, and once you attach a meaning to it, it becomes that meaning. So I made up a lot of things before I ever became official. And finally I was like, all right, I need to learn some techniques. And then I went deeper and got Reikified and, you know, just all the different things that I do. But the truth is, clear your body by choosing to clear it.
Yeah.
That's it. We
That's
may need help.
really,
Yeah.
really amazing. And it's so simple, but it's really making that choice. And again, people have to want to be healed. So many people don't want to be healed. Maybe you probably know it too, but the Marianne Williamson quote that we're not really afraid of failure. Do you know the rest of it? We're actually afraid of how great we are.
Yes, that's from a return of love, or return to love. Is that
No.
okay? Well, either way, she's a favorite. Yeah, that's awesome.
But by choosing to give up our crutches, we have to be. It's empowering us, but that means we have to do more ourselves. We have to be more ourselves, and it's a daily choice. Sometimes it's an hourly choice when you're hit with life, one of those wonderful life learning lessons. You really have to, sometimes it's a minute by minute choice. I got to just keep breathing. I just got to keep taking the next step. I got to release this. I got to release this. It feels like you're just constantly, okay, when is this ever going to end? It's like, there's only so much of me. How could this be so deep? But when you're in really deep sorrow, it's like the Grand Canyon, and you've got to release all that.
And that was, so my mom died this past year, or in 22. And that was really shocking and hard for me. And it was interesting because, it wasn't expected, but I went through a level of grief that I did not know was even possible. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I have a friend who lost her daughter, and I didn't meet her at that time. I've met her now, and it's been 6 years. But even just a year and a half ago when I met her, there was a lot more pain than now. And it's just like, no matter how much we know they're with us, no matter how much, we have to go through it. And if you fight it, and I did fight it a little bit because I was like, should I be through this? And it actually, one thing that made me feel so odd, which I didn't know this would happen, and now I know, but it's going through it. Everyone else came back to their normal life, but your life isn't normal anymore. Nope. It's different forever. Yep. And then I'm like, but that still was the proper order of things. My friend didn't have the proper order of things. It had the spiritual order of things that was proper for her life, right? But not the personal proper order, because, it's just hard to lose a child. It's hard to lose a parent. It's hard to lose anybody that you really attach to and love, no matter what you believe of the after, the spirit, or whatever.
They're not there anymore. I mean, as much as, I talk to my mom all the time, but she's not here anymore,
Right. I was laying in bed. I had a little trouble sleeping last night, and I've been doing pretty good lately. But last night, I forget, I heard a noise, and I had a sleep mask on. So I go, hi, Mom. I'm just like, and then I'm like, I don't know, it could be the dog at the door. I can't feel anything. Like I had, all right, so this is really cool. I kept wanting to hear, because I can hear other people. Why can't I hear her? And I was trying too hard. So if you're trying to receive, we can't try too hard, because that's a form of resistance or fear that we're not. So I was trying to receive and I wasn't getting it. I saw two mediums, and at different times they both said, your mom's talking to you, but you can't hear. I'm like, I want to hear. And then I'm like, no, that's okay. That's okay. And then one day I was laying in bed, I'm usually pretty good that I don't sleep well, and I can meditate to a point where I feel pretty rested. But I was laying in bed and my hand was like laying on my stomach, right? And all of a sudden I felt this. I'm trying to get in the picture, like pushing up my hand. Nothing's there physically, right? But something was there physically. So nothing visible, I should say. So it goes like this. And then I felt a hold, and I was like, oh my God, that's my mom. That's my mom. And it was such a beautiful experience, because I was like, she literally forced and let me know this is my hand. She could have just been there in silence, but she's like, I know my daughter wants to know I am here. It was
That's
pretty
wonderful.
cool.
That's so wonderful.
It was pretty cool.
Would you like to do a little breath work? I mean, we're having so much fun, but would you like to do a little breath work?
Awesome.
Okay. So we can
Okay.
show people what it does and what it's like.
Yes, this is called the 9 breath method, and we'll
Okay.
just do it in general. Okay. Now, in general, take your left palm. Sometimes now men do one way, women do another. I'm just going to do, let's take your left palm, put it on your belly button. Take your right palm, put it over your left palm. So your fingers are not touching. I mean, yeah, your fingers aren't touching, just your palms are. And you're holding that space where you came into the world.
Is it like
All
this
right?
or like this?
Like that.
Okay.
Palm on palm. So your fingers are on your wrist.
Okay.
Okay. Now, this is utilizing upper airways. If you utilize the upper airways, the nitric oxide that's produced is mostly in the upper airways. So we're going to do all lung and heart breathing on this. Okay. So you actually are going to tighten. I don't know if you can see, but there's a spot right here, like right at the separating of your ribs. And you can, if you press in, if you do energy medicine, it's called the valve. And you tighten it, right? So you can tighten or your upper abs, and it's almost like not letting air down there yet. Okay. Now you tighten that, and then when you breathe in and out, you'll be expanding your heart and your lungs. All right. We're going to move back and forth, rock forward and back, and we're going to be doing that in unison with breathing in, breathing out. So we're going to start blowing everything out through our mouth, and then we lean back and breathe in the nose, and then lean forward and breathe out the nose. And I'll count it as we do it, and I'll be doing it too. And if I lose count, just go with whatever count mine is, because sometimes when I do it a lot, I get so into it, I'm like, 4, I don't know. So sometimes it might be a 10 breath one, but this one will be a 9. And what it is, it's like blasting your body with oxygen. You can use it. So we're going to practice it and just do it normally. If we have time, we could do a second round, but if not, that's fine too, because this will be enough to teach it to you. And
So
let's say you
about
have
15 minutes roughly.
Oh,
15,
cool.
20 minutes. So
Okay, then all right. We got plenty. Okay. So you can take 90 seconds to 2 minutes every morning and start your day like that. You're going to see more clearly. And it brings you front and center, forward, completely present. And the best way to start your day is in the now. It is today, right? So if you get in that habit, oh my gosh, it'll be great. All right. So then you go in, out 9 times. On the 8th one, you'll go slower, and I'll walk you through it. And then on the 9th, we do it hard and then top it off with our mouth, and then you just hold your breath. And when you hold your breath, you'll open your mouth like very little, like pursed lips, and imagine there's a candle in front of you, and you hold as long as you can within reason. Okay. Don't because you're getting so much oxygen into yourself that you can get lightheaded. So the purpose here is not to like be so lightheaded and get dizzy. The purpose is to increase your oxygen intake, and the nitric oxide will do that. And that's how come we're utilizing the upper airways. Okay. And then afterwards, you just sit and enjoy it. And you go as slow as you can out. All right. So palms on belly. All right. Just get centered. Know that you're about to experience something new and fresh and now. On the count of 3, we'll blow everything out through our mouth. We'll lean forward and blow everything out. 1, 2, 3. Lean forward and out the mouth. Lean back and in the nose. Forward, out, nose. Would you like to blow your nose first? I didn't think to ask that.
I'm okay.
Okay. Yeah. That's sometimes with allergies. It's a little tricky. All right. So let's just go ahead and start again. Blow everything out. Tighten that and expand only your heart and lungs. Breathe in, move back. Breathe out the nose, forward. 2 back, nose. Forward. 3 back. Expanding the upper airways mostly. Forward. 4 back. Forward. 5 back. Feel that oxygen. Forward. 6 back. Feel the clarity. Forward. 7 back. Forward. 8, a little slower. Forward. Now 9, your hardest breath. Go back. Keep inhaling, top it off with your mouth. Hold your breath. Swallow. Let your stomach go out like a Buddha belly, but keep your breath held. Purse your lips. And when you feel like it, you exhale so slowly like you can't put out the candle in front of you.
Wow.
So how do you feel?
I feel amazing. That's
Do you
very cleansing.
look around your room. Do you see more clearly?
Yeah.
Did you get lightheaded at all?
No.
Okay. If you get a little lightheaded, that's okay. That's just oxygen getting to places it's not been as much. And if you get dizzy, that's too much. Don't breathe that hard. But since you didn't get lightheaded at all, you want to breathe a little deeper, see if you can accomplish that. And if not, and it felt better the other way, then it's your body and your comfort. So we push, like in business, we push past the comfort zone,
Right.
but you don't drive yourself crazy where you go into a hole and stay. All right. Now, at the end, when I said to swallow, your stomach automatically goes out. So when you're exhaling, all that is going into your gut too. And that helps your gut health. And it helps digestion. It helps everything.
Wow.
Now, if you have a point of pain on your body,
Yeah.
picture it right now. Put your hands back on your belly button. And what we're going to do is we're going to breathe in, focus on the breath. Know that you're going to send it there. And then when you're breathing out, you're going to picture that point of pain. Okay. All right. Get ready. We're going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Lean forward. Blow everything out your mouth. Remember, breathe in just through the nose. Leaning back, expanding your heart and lungs. Forward. Back 2. Try to only breathe out through your nose.
That means we're doing really deep stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. By the way, you may cough. In Jeff's class, it was really funny because he goes, no one's ever fallen out of the chair. And he and his assistant right there, and they both looked at each other. He goes, well, they didn't get hurt. It was awesome. Oh, and I did get certified in this just because it's so amazing. And I'll also tell you really quick, my first time doing it was 2007, 2008. And my nose was super stuffed. And at that time in my life, 2008, I was like, I'm good. I don't need breath work, whatever. I'm already connected. So I pretended to do it the entire time. Everybody's like, wow. I'm like, I just pretended. And I was just like, it didn't mean anything to me. To me, everything was a qigong. That was everything to me. And then when I went back, like 4 years later after that, I didn't get certified till 2017. But when I went back 4 years later, I was like, oh, that's what I missed. I get it. But I was just like, I didn't want people to know I wasn't doing it. I was just like, I'm just going to do the motions. It's okay. I've gotten a lot out of this workshop. But everything comes within reason and when we need.
Yeah, it's true.
Great conversation. Y'all still got about 10 or 15 more minutes to go and everything, but I was enjoying the conversation in the background. I was actually trying to do some of the breathing work with you. Unfortunately, a friend of mine called me during the breathing exercise to tell me that we would not be going to the baseball game because he was getting ready to get a free ticket to the baseball game in minor league baseball and all of that. But it's a hot day, and the person actually was having that he was getting the tickets from was actually having surgery today. So it looks like that'll get postponed until a later time and everything. But Tadia, and I hope I pronounced that right and everything. One of the things that I saw that I thought about as you were talking earlier was your experience with your now third husband. It reminds me of my brother, my younger brother. And I only have one brother and all in that space, but he is engaged, and they should have been married, but they have both had health issues of their own and everything by now. But his third fiance and eventually third wife is a lot of what you were just talking about, because they met through eHarmony and stuff like that. But when she is a widow, and when she met Malik, that is my brother, they found out that they had a lot of common friends, because when she came and met our cousin and all in that space, the ex-husband was actually one of her friend circle. So her friend circle was actually the ex-husband and all in that space. So it's kind of like when Tanya met, and that's my cousin's name, when Tanya met Celia, she was like, yeah, I know exactly who Celia is, because her ex-husband was the one part of their high school crowd and everything.
Yeah.
So they already knew each other in that kind of connected way, even though they didn't meet until they met through eHarmony and some other things in that space. But it was just fascinating hearing you talking about your now third husband and me thinking about that with my brother and everything. And the other thing, so I was just thinking about that. And the other thing that y'all were talking about, and Jeanette knows I'll pop in there with questions and everything every once in a while, is that I was thinking about this notion of the fixer, because I know that I can be a fixer sometimes as well. And sometimes that can be a difficult thing to let go of, because not everything can automatically be fixed and all of that space and all along those lines. So as a healer, I just wanted to see some of your thoughts around fixers and also repeat habits, because I know that I am still in the single space. Just celebrated, as I told you that last week, the 61st birthday on this past Saturday, and I know that even my own relationship situations, I have gone down the same path, and sometimes I'll be like, wait a minute, I made that error before. Why am I doing this again and everything? So I'd love to hear just some of your thoughts around repeat errors that we make constantly, and also the fixer notion.
Okay. All right. So on the fixer notion, all right. The fixer notion is so hard to get out of, but the best part about it is once we realize that we have a North Star. Okay. So I talk about alignment a lot. So we can ground ourselves in the now. We activate and ground ourselves in our divinity, which is connected with our hearts, but we ground ourselves in our divinity. And then we go within to ask, am I supposed to do something about this? Right. And then the other thing is, don't. Just don't do anything, because if you're urged to push, you will get the nudge by the universe. And it's just a practice of, I have so many answers for so many people on so many stuff. I want to tell so much, but they're not going to hear me. And I've learned that people get so comfortable. They wear their past like a badge of honor. I have a friend who has anxiety, and the reason she has anxiety was the way she grew up. It wasn't the best way. Okay. Now she's past all that. However, she has anxiety attacks. And during 2020, especially, I worked with her, and it was great to help her on a moment to moment basis. And I said, I can help you completely transform out of this. And I didn't just do it like that. That's like in years in the progress of me wanting to help her do this. And it was so funny because I was like, you don't ever have to look, like, everything about our past is our story, right? I used to tell people, own your story, but instead of owning the story, don't own the story. Know the story, because the story is for other people to learn from, right? What you want to own are your decisions. How did you thrive? How did you not thrive? What did you do? What are your decisions in that story? But if you define yourself by that story, then you can never, ever let go of it. And if we imagine, as we're saying there, we have 100 units of energy, per se, a day. Well, if we have some past story lingering, boom, there's 20, could be 40, could be 5, but there's energy loss. There's energy lost in people. The love of my life. Oh, he was the love of my life. She was the love of my life. I'll never love the same. You won't, because you say it. It's because you're still attaching to that. Now, fear of the future. I promote looking at the future, but in now. If that makes sense. Look at it, let it go, and be that now. But otherwise, you have this future. So you have all these cords of energy. So every single morning, besides the breath work, as I stretch, I'm asking my spirit to come back to me from all the places I've left it. Because if I have all my spirit, everything back to me, then I will not try to fix somebody else. And by the way, I never did get through to my friend. What happened was, it's just too much pride of what she made it through. And she doesn't want anything else. If she let go of that, that would take the whole past and undefine her in her mind. To me, it would bring it to how you could help others, but not everybody wants to help somebody else. And sometimes there's the bridge holders, and people walk, let's say healing is a bridge. You walk here. Oh my God, you feel the breeze. It feels so good to be on a bridge, doesn't it? You feel more free. The other side, you just don't know what's there. You don't want to be there, but this bridge feels really good. And sometimes we call that healing, but it's really not all the way healed. And then here's the other part. Healing is a journey. It's going to continue to be a journey and continue to be a journey and continue to be a journey. We just have to keep going forward. I like crossing the bridge. I'll do like an example of Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm pro anything that helps groups of people. Okay. It doesn't matter whether I go or not, or whether somebody goes or hates it, or that, blah, blah, blah. I'm pro groups of people healing together in community with a spiritual base. That's really what it is. There can be a whole bunch of other stuff with that. But there are people that go for a while and then they live their life fine afterwards. There are people that will never, ever stop going. They're the bridge holders, because there has to be the long lifers in there to show the newbies, it's possible. You can live a happier life. We're doing that on a daily basis all the time. And if we fix people, all right, you know what? Let's go to not fixing. Be the example. Be the example of what it feels like to live without anxiety. That's what I should have been doing instead of trying to fix her. I didn't do that. But now that you brought it up so specifically, it forces me to really look at it. It's be the example of healing. Be the example of, when I healed everything with my first husband, I didn't use a counselor. I had counseling in the past, so I had emotional intelligence. I had enough emotional intelligence to know that I didn't want anybody to know what I was going through too. And I don't know if that's intelligence or slightly not, but either way, I wasn't going to tell anybody. And I was going through stuff, but when I broke up, I used a healer, and I didn't tell her what I went through. I didn't tell her I had been strangled. I didn't tell her I had done, all these different things. But what I told her was, this is how I'm feeling. And in the Course in Miracles, everything is love. That's truth. What's not is fear and isn't real. Therefore, I'm only going to work with love, the life-sustaining force of the universe, and see my reflection of what I could have done better. So where's my part in being abused? Well, I accepted abuse disguised as mental illness. Well, that's what I thought my part was, but that was my reason. What really happened, just a second, I hit some voice.
No, you're still talking. I still hear you.
Oh, okay. All right.
You were saying what really happened. You were saying what really happened in the sense of the abuse and all in that space. That's where you were at on that.
Okay. Hold on one second, because I just realized what happened. My computer started talking to me, and so I couldn't hear what I was doing. And I realized I have a voice command, and it was everywhere I was. Anyway, that doesn't matter. Okay, so back onto the space of, remind me where I'm at.
You were talking.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. You were talking about the abuse element and how you had to. It sounded like you were claiming your role within it as well, as I'm hearing you correctly.
My role was staying. It doesn't matter that I was terrified to leave. I didn't want him to kill himself. I didn't want to be responsible for him and all that. My real role, not the reason I stayed, because I accepted it because it was mental illness. That was a reason. Technically, I stayed. That was my role. Now, I'm not saying I handled everything perfectly in every moment, but sometimes things that are done to us as a victim, it just means that somewhere in my life I felt like a victim. It didn't mean I caused that. I didn't mean that I deserved that. It meant somewhere I felt small. And so somebody took advantage of that. And it's a matching vibration of an apple and an orange, not necessarily apple per apple, right? So did I answer all the questions?
No, you answered it quite well. I'm going to turn it back over to Jeanette, but really quickly, I was just thinking that sometimes that even plays into what we do as well, because I know in even my own relationships, I sometimes feel that they were reasons for those relationships and they were supposed to be lessons learned. And sometimes we learn the lessons, sometimes we don't learn the lessons, and all in that space, because I know that I have had some relationships with folks that have been through abusive situations, and I had to deal with those, and hopefully they were growing and changing, but sometimes they brought the abusive relationship into their new relationship, which was the relationship with me and all in that space. So that can also happen as well. And you have to figure out whether you're going to stay in that, and maybe it might have been some of that fixer thing, trying to figure out if we can make it work. And in one case, I literally walked out the door because I was seeing that it wasn't going to be cured. So I literally walked out the door and kept on walking. So sometimes you have to do that, whether you want to or not. But I'm going to turn it over to you and Jeanette. Y'all have had a great conversation. Hopefully you'll come back again at some point or another. But I've definitely enjoyed the conversation. I know Jeanette will probably ask how you can be gotten in touch with, because it sounds like you're on this side of the world. And since I heard the Panhandle, I'm thinking that is Florida and all in that space. And I'm over here in North Carolina. But I'm going to bounce off and turn it over to Jeanette to close it out. But y'all are doing a great job. And I just wanted to give a little bit of my own insights and everything, as I oftentimes do. But I'm going to turn it over to the Color Whisperer.
Awesome, Tasha. This was so amazing, and I think you've taken some really difficult concepts and made them really simple, which is really wonderful. So, how can people get in touch with you?
I have a Facebook that is my name. My name is right here. So Tasha Thompson Yankevich. That's my Facebook. That's my personal profile. And I'm actually starting a program called Breathe and Ignite. And I just finished the 8 module of what the idea was going to be. And it's all about breathing into that space and igniting your soul path. That's basically it. And it's helping people not fix everything in the past, but to bring it front and center. So that I can tell that website, although it's not usable yet, is breatheandignite.com.
Excellent. And when do you think it might be ready? Because I know, this is evergreen. So we just want people to be able to go and check.
Okay. Let's see. I would say within a month.
Okay. So
want by September at the latest,
okay,
but I'm wanting to get it started before the summer ends.
cool.
Because I own a candle company too. So by the way,
oh,
if
you
you
got to
want
talk
a
about your
full,
candles.
I forgot.
You got
It's
to talk about them. It's so cool.
I have soul purpose candles I created. The company is called Ritual Chic, Ritual and then CHIC.com. And they're soul purpose candles. They're chakra balancing. I use crystals, organic herbs. I Reikify them. I put good positive vibes in them. And they not only balance the chakras, but I have other candles too. So I have one that's called Love Spell, and it has 2 wicks. You would think one for somebody and one for you, but that's not it. It's your personal self and your higher self. That's how I do it, because you got to be aligned, right?
Right.
To get the best love. And honestly, these candles can serve as an anchor. The sense of smell is the strongest scent that brings you back to memory recall. If you go through meditation, you go through healing, you do breath work, whatever, journaling, whatever you decide to do, you take that scent, whatever one it is, and you smell it beforehand. You do the work and you smell it afterwards. Then when you smell that scent, you're back to that space. That's why I love the candles so much.
It's me again, because I know we're going to end. And by the way, when we do finally end, we'll end. And that's why I popped on, because we can't go the chat method, since Jeanette is not having the best ability to read what I am saying in chat and all in that space. But I know we're going to end with Kendu Spices. And by the way, Jeanette, I just got my own Kendu Spices on yesterday. So I got my own version and all of that space. But one of the things I was going to say to you and everything is that as you'll find out, we oftentimes will have commercials for folks that are doing the thing. So if the candles have a video, I would love to get the video either from you or Jeanette, and we will gladly play it, not just on Jeanette's show, but on other shows as well. So if you get a video about that particular product, I would love to make that happen and all, because you'll see at the end a 1.5-minute commercial around Kendu Spices. But I'm just letting Jeanette know that that's how
I
we
would
will
love that.
close out after y'all get done and everything.
Thank
Cool.
you. Oh, so cool.
So what's the website for the
Candles?
candles? Yes.
Ritual, RITUAL, Chic, CHIC. So
Awesome.
RITUALCHIC.com.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. This has been so much fun.
It
So
really
we'll
has. Thank
definitely
you so much.
have you come back, because I feel like we've only just scratched the surface, but we
We
covered
can talk about so
much.
much.
Yes.
Yeah.
And of course,
You're one of
I
those
love
people
this
that met and connected quick.
Well, how many Inuan do you think we have? I think we have a lot.
I was gonna say I just got chill, like warm, like ooh on that. We should actually like go into our own intuition, then see what we both get. Not now.
That would be
but
fun.
later. Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And we will definitely do this again. And with that, I say thank you for joining us today. And we're going to go and listen to Kendu Spice. Tasha, you want to watch the ad for sure, because these spices are amazing, and they're really, really good. And they're all full of all kinds of healthy stuff like ashwagandha and
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah. So check out these spices. So I'm a huge fan. I've been giving them out as wedding gifts and all kinds of stuff, birthday
That's
gifts.
a great idea.
So yeah, it was an older, they were 40s. Like they didn't need stuff, but luxury spices that are healthy for you.
Yeah.
Right?
I love that. Oh.
All right. So with that, we will go to Kendu Spices and let them promote what they do, and another way to keep your body healthy.
Yes.
Namaste.
You know how people love to enjoy food and don't understand how to flavor their food or how to replicate a meal? They're interested in supplements but don't know where to begin? Well, what I do is I take the guesswork out of enjoying flavor and wellness with my flavorful spice blends, so that they can create delicious meals with healing benefits. Kendu Spice was created to help cooks at any level enjoy healing through food. Every spice blend was designed to give added health benefits of natural herbs. Every blend is complete, There's no need to add any additional spice for a delicious meal. Saving you time and money while adding supplements to your meals can be both tasty and fun. My earliest memories in the kitchen began with my father, Kenny Can Do Bond, so it was fitting that I would name this line after him. I have always looked to natural remedies to supplement the body, and I found myself hiding herbs and minerals in foods for my family. That's when it hit me. Everyone needs Can Do Spice. Everyone should be having this. It's an exclusive brand for cooks at any level who want to create flavorful dishes with healing benefits that can satisfy the body and soul. Add a little spice to your life. Give Can Do Spice a try.